Okay, so we'll start with feet flat on the floor, right? Getting a good sense of the contact between your feet and the ground. And again, as we sort of set our base and set our grounding, really getting a sense of where on the feet that contact is being made with the ground. Recognizing the support of the ground under our feet. Letting go of any weight that we're holding in our feet, letting the ground take that weight. And then we're going to move up to where we're sitting and get a sense of how our bottom is sitting on the chair. Again, letting the chair take all the weight for us. Right? That contact. And then how our back is resting, if we're sitting back or lying back, letting the weight of the chair behind us support our body, letting it settle in. And as we start this meditation, getting a sense of the support that's holding us as we go into this meditation. We're going to start with some breath work. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring our attention to our abdomen. So we're going to bring our attention to our belly. And we're just going to slowly, gently, with curiosity, pay attention to how, as we're breathing in, the belly moves. So we're not trying to change how we're breathing. We're not trying to adapt how we're breathing, but we're just going to take a handful of breaths and really observe with curiosity how breath moves into the abdomen. Paying attention to how the abdomen expands on the in-breath. Paying attention to how it contracts on the out-breath. And again, not trying to change anything. Observing with curiosity how every breath is slightly different. And maybe you feel the air coming in, expanding on the sides. Maybe you get a sense that as you draw air in, it extends at the lower back and the lower back opens just a little bit. And maybe you notice very little movement at all. Maybe it's just the most subtle shift as you change from an in-breath to an out-breath. And as the mind wanders away, as it will, from the stomach, from the lower abdomen, I'm just going to gently direct it back. Breathing out, and then we're going to redirect the attention to the chest, to the upper chest and the heart. And we're going to observe our breath up into the chest. And we're not trying to change anything or correct anything, just with curiosity. How does breath move in and out of our chest and our rib cage? Can we soften as we're doing this breathing? So we're not focusing, we're just observing gently. As we observe the rib cage moving, are there differences from side to side as you breathe in and how the air expands the rib cage? Do we notice maybe more room on one side than another as we breathe in? Again, gentle observation, watching the air move in and out the same way we might watch a butterfly float from flower to flower, with curiosity, with gentleness. And on the in-breath, sort of getting a sense of what happens to the shoulders on that in-breath. How do the shoulders dance along with the breath as it comes in and out of the body? And as we're slowly breathing in and out, what we're going to do is we're going to get a sense of the edges of our breath. So as we breathe in, at the edge of that breath, before we transition to an out breath, there's going to be a little pause. So we're going to breathe in until the edge of that in-breath, and there's going to be a moment of pause. And then there's going to be a breath out. I want to see if you can get a sense of what is that breath between the in-breath and the pause before the out-breath feel like. So we're just going to take a second to feel that edge and feel that transition. And paying attention to, now that we're observing that pause, what happens? As we bring our curiosity to that pause, does the pause extend for a little bit longer? Does it get shorter? Where's the edge of that breath? And you may have started to notice that now on your exhale, as you exhale all the air out, there's a pause before you inhale again. We're just going to take a minute to work with those edges. We're not trying to force a longer breath or a shorter breath. We're taking the time to observe the movement and the edges. As we observe those edges and notice again that when we bring attention to our breath, it starts to shift slightly. It starts to maybe slow slightly, or maybe it speeds up slightly, but we're bringing attention to the breath. What we're going to do now is move back from focusing on the edges of the breath to taking another minute or two to observe how the breath now moves through the whole body. So we're going to bring that lens all the way back and imagine ourselves sitting in the chair, observing ourselves breathe from head to toe. We're going to just take a minute to get a sense of how does breath move the body? The whole body. Slowing the body down. And with curiosity, watching that dance of the breath coming in and how the body adapts to it. And as you're observing the body and as you're watching the body breathe, you may notice some points of tension in the body as you're breathing. Maybe the shoulder feels tight and the breath doesn't quite seem to move through it as freely. Maybe the ribs feel tight and the breath doesn't quite seem to move through it as freely. Maybe it's the abdomen. And so what I want you to do is bring your attention to that space in the body. Well, anywhere that tension is sitting, we're going to bring our attention to that space. And just like we did when we were observing the edges of the breath, I want you to observe as your breath moves towards the edge of that tension. So on the in-breath, we're going to draw in and imagine air being brought to that tension, right to the very edge of what's comfortable. Wherever that edge is, we're just going to pause, notice the edge, and then breathe out and release and soften. And as we breathe and release into that tension, we're just going to get a sense of how does that tension shift? We're not going to try to force past that natural edge. We're just going to draw in the breath right to the very edge. Softly touch that tension and then breathe out and let some of that tension release with the breath. And as we're observing that tension, we're going to call in some support as well. So staying with the breath on that tension, we're going to ask for Holy Spirit or Creator, Life Force Energy Source, Healing Light, whichever that is for you. We're going to ask them to come in and release any of the grievances, any of the disharmony, any of the pain trapped in that tension. We're going to ask for that energy to come in, clear and release that tension to help us uncover the healing that rests behind that tension. moves through that space, and you might feel some tingling and you might feel some moving. We're going to stay with our breath. Drawing in an in-breath to the edge of that tension and releasing all that shifting on the out-breath. And really getting a sense of how that tension shifts when we bring air to it, when we bring breath to it, and when we bring healing to it. And again, so make sure you're paying attention, softening the shoulders, softening the eyes. We're not fighting with the tension, we're drawing ourselves to the edge. Bringing some awareness to it, and then breathing out and giving it opportunity to move out with the breath. And then we're going to come back to the heart center again. We're going to come back to the center of the chest. And we're going to bring ourselves back to our breath again. Gentle in-breath and gentle out-breath. And then from the heart center, I'm going to get you to slowly take your attention. We're going to draw it down, sort of along the spine, down to the tailbone. And then we're going to pay attention down through our legs, down to the bottom of our feet. And then we're going to pay attention, we're going to bring our attention down into our Earth Star. And again, our Earth Star is located about a foot below the bottom of our feet. And again, it looks like a donut or a halo. And with our breath, we're going to start to sort of bring our attention into the center of that Earth Star. And on the in-breath, we're going to imagine bringing energy and light into the Earth Star. And then on the out-breath, we're going to imagine that out-breath sort of spreading energy and light out through the Earth Star and expanding that light of the Earth Star. So we're just going to stay with our breath again. In-breath draws light and energy into the Earth Star. Out-breath extends and expands and brightens that energy. And a reminder that this is a gentle process, an intentional process. If you find yourself over-focusing or over-tensing, we want to soften the shoulders, soften the eyes. Bringing light in on the in-breath and then amplifying and expanding it on the out-breath. And you might start to feel tingles in the bottom of your feet, and you might start to feel things shifting in your body as we're opening that channel. And should you notice dark spots or areas that we're not seeing light yet in that Earth Star, in that soul star, we're going to call in again for some help. And as we're breathing, we're going to ask for a clearing and a release, letting go of any disharmony, any grievances or pain that might be blocking the Earth Star. We're going to ask for help to release that and let it go. And as we release and let that go, you might start to notice that just like a waterfall of light, light starts to shine downwards as though it's headed for the center of the earth. And with the breath, we're going to gently observe and expand. We're going to draw more light in, and we're going to watch that light flow down through the center of our Earth Star and really start to give us an outlet. A space to let things go. Any of the tensions, any of the grievances we might be holding in the Earth Star or in the body or in the grounding channel, we're going to let that light take those grievances with it down into the earth. So as we come back to the breath, I want you to imagine taking an in-breath, drawing that light in, and then on the out-breath, letting go of anything you'd like to send down into and through the Earth Star. Letting go of that tension, letting go of the burden and the extra weight, letting go of pain that might be in the body. And with every breath, we breathe in and we bring light, and then we breathe out and we release. And observe with curiosity and gentleness the process of release as your body lets it energetically flow down through the Earth Star, down, grounding out through the grounding cable, and letting it all go back to the earth. And 1 or 2 more breaths of release here. And then from the Earth Star, we're going to move our way back up. We're going to bring our attention up through the feet, up through the legs, up through the tailbone, up through the spine, past the heart and up to the top of the neck. And then we're going to move through the top of the head. And we're going to move up to the soul star, which is about between a foot and 2 feet above our head. And same thing, it's like a halo or a donut shape. And in this space again, we're going to work with the breath. On the in-breath, we're going to bring light into the soul star. And then on the out-breath, we're going to expand that light and really start to bring light and get it glowing brighter to that soul star. So let's take a couple breaths. Watching that soul star as it starts to light up, starts to get brighter, starts to let that light extend further and further out. And again, if you notice any spots where the light may still be being blocked or there may be any denser spots, we're going to call in for some help again. We're going to ask for Creator or Holy Spirit or Life Force Energy, healing light, to come into this space, clear and release any disharmony, any fears, any doubts, any grievances that might be blocking us from seeing the light that's already there. Staying with those shifts and observing the light as it grows and expands. And then as it grows and expands, you might notice sort of a funnel of light or a tunnel of light coming from the top of the soul star, extending up into the universe. And with every breath, it extends further. Breathing in, drawing light in, breathing out, extending that light pathway further. And as that light pathway extends with our breath, it's going to extend a pathway all the way to Source, all the way to our collective consciousness. And so we're going to work with the breath again. And this time, we're going to breathe in, and then on the out breath, we're going to extend that connection further all the way up to Source. And then on the in breath, we're going to draw in light all the way down into our soul star. So we're going to breathe between the soul star and Source. So we're going to breathe out and extend that connection all the way up to Source. And then we're going to breathe in and we're going to draw all that light, all that wisdom, all that healing light down into the soul star. Bringing in that guidance, bringing in that healing. And again, not forcing the breath, it's this gentle rhythmic connection. Breathing in wisdom, breathing out and releasing back to Source, that which we no longer need. Breathing in love, and releasing any fear, any anxiety, any grievances back to Source on the out breath. Gentle observation of the breath and how it moves light and moves energy. There we go. And then we're going to, 1 or 2 last breath here. And on this last breath, we're going to breathe out and release all the way back to Source. Nice out breath. And then on the in breath, we're going to draw in, but we're going to draw that light past the soul star, down through the top of our head, down through the throat, and all the way down into the throat chakra. So we're going to do that one more time so you get a sense. On the out breath, we release anything that no longer serves our higher good back to Source. And then on the in breath, we draw that light, but we're going to draw it all the way down into the heart center this time. So let's just take 1 or 2 very slow breaths that way. Releasing now from the heart center all the way back up to Source. Anything we no longer need to carry with us. Any disharmony, any grievances, any fears or doubts. And then we draw that loving light all the way down into the heart chakra. And you might feel the heart chakra start to buzz. Start to amplify again. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring our attention right into the heart, right into the heart chakra, now that we've opened that connection. And knowing that that light is flowing in, and recognizing that It's going to flow into the heart, and some of it's going to stay there and extend outwards from our heart, and some of it's going to keep traveling through all the way down to the pathway that we created into the earth. Right? It's not going to back up, it's not going to get stuck here. We've created this beautiful channel for light to flow through. And paying attention to the heart chakra now, and just we're going to settle back into just observing the breath. This gentle breath that occurs at the heart center. It has this beautiful light flowing through it from source, bringing in love, bringing in healing, bringing in wisdom and knowledge. Really feeling the heart center, feeling the physical heart, feeling the chakra, feeling the lungs, feeling the thoracic cavity, filling with light, pouring in. Just going to gently stay with the breath and observe, not trying to change anything, observing that light, filling that space. And as we breathe in and out, and again, not changing the breath, no force here, observing what the body's doing. I want you to imagine that on every out-breath, we're sending a little bit more of that light outwards from the heart. So we take a natural breath in, and then on the out-breath, we're going to imagine it like a wave, helping to spread some of that light out in all directions around us. Doing these perfect ripples, like if we were to drop a pebble in the water. Every out-breath observing another ripple, extending out from the heart center into the universe. And I want you to imagine those ripples washing over those that we love, washing over the space around us, filling the room around us with these ripples of love and light. I want you to imagine those ripples of love and light leaving the heart center and washing over even those that we may have some difficulties with or some challenges with. Sharing that light that you have so kindly and so lovingly brought into this space. We're going to move into one last little step in this meditation. And I want you to imagine now that as the heart extends and amplifies, it fills in a perfect bubble around you. The entirety of your auric field, all the way around you. As far as your arms could reach outside of you. A perfect cocoon of white light rippling out from this beautiful heart center. And extending out in front of you as far as you can reach with your arms. And then again, even further, this perfect balloon filled with white healing light and releasing light. And I want you to imagine now, in your mind gently, if there's anything now that you really, really want to let go of. Anything that you'd really like to return to the light. to this loving space, something you'd really like to let go of. And I want you to imagine extending your hands out in front of you and imagining that maybe it's an emotion, maybe it's fear you'd like to let go of. And I want you to imagine that fear is sitting on your hands and you're releasing it into that light. And watch as the light weaves through, bringing light to whatever it is you'd like to let go of, and returning it to love. We're bringing light and watching it gently leave our hands, watching it get embraced by the universe and then dissolving into the light. And if it's too big for you to hold in your hands, that's okay. Whatever it is, I want you to imagine it out in front of you. And I want you to imagine that loving light that we've created in this space coming in and embracing, moving through, dissolving, releasing back to light, back to love. As it shifts back into the universe and it's released from our bodies or our minds or our experiences. And we're just going to take another 2 or 3 minutes in this space. Again, gentle observation. Placing what it is we'd like to let go of into the light in front of us. And then with curiosity and compassion and patience, releasing it with love into the light to be returned to the universe. And then we're going to offer some gratitude to this space. We're going to offer some gratitude to ourselves for taking the time to bring light to this environment, to bring love even to the most difficult things we'd like to let go of. Bringing gratitude to Source and Holy Spirit, Creator, for being with us today and helping us to let go of those things that no longer serve our highest good. And then slowly drawing one last slow breath in and out. Getting a sense of the chair behind you and your feet on the ground and the space that you're sitting in, the support of the chair behind you, below you, fully supported, fully held by the space around you. And then slowly opening our eyes, bringing ourselves back into this space and finishing off